Hi.
Nice to meet you here at 1871. So, when everything started, why did you decide to create 1871?
So 1871 was created because we wanted to have a single place in the city where all the startup technology companies could come and could have a shared experience with a lot of common resources and see that other people were going through all the same sort of experiences that they were.
And where the inspiration came from to create this space?
Well, this was originally a work in progress for quite a while, but J.B. Pritzker, who was one of the really founding people, wanted to create a place. He thought all the elements for a successful entrepreneurial community were in Chicago, but they weren't in one place.
They were all spread out.
Yeah.
It was missing the connection.
Right.
Okay. And what it takes to be the CEO of 1871? Such a big accelerator here.
It takes a lot of patience.
Yes, that's true. Here in the co-working space, there are several facilities, different approaches for the entrepreneurs.
So here there's some.
Like a tour for us.
Yeah, so here there are shared spaces which are rented by the month, and people can come in and sit at any desk that's available. Then there are reserved spaces. Then there are private spaces, and in our new expansion area, there'll be offices for some of the businesses that'll have a whole separate identity.
I've heard that you have to apply for 1871.
Yeah.
What do you look for in the people and ideas to be accepted here?
So there's different groups. So there are people who are here full time. There are people who are here nights and weekends. There are people who are students who are just graduating from college. So one group of people will be coming in who are going to be moving their businesses from wherever they went to college to 1871. So that's one program. Then we have accelerators here. So we have Techstars Chicago, Impact Engine, and we're adding 7 or 8 more incubators. And those will have specific requirements as to what the people running those incubators are looking for. And in general, we want to get to a point where we have a reasonable belief that the business is going to be successful.
Great. And I also heard that you're expanding, right?
Yeah, right.
What are the future projects for this expansion?
Well, so we're adding another 50,000 square feet. 25,000 will be for health IT, and 25,000 will be for a whole bunch of different new areas: education, financial technology, femtech, which is women in technology, Internet of Everything. There'll be several more schools, food, and real estate as well.
Talking about education, what do you think what are the most important things an entrepreneur needs to learn to be able to develop and grow their company?
Well, when we talk about education, we're talking about both people that are training entrepreneurs to use code, so the starter school, but we're also talking about the Startup Institute, which actually teaches people how to work successfully in startup businesses.
Yes.
And then there are other forms of education as well, where some people will be coming in to work with them on what we call startup engineering, and that's learning about the methodology to build a successful business.
Yes. Is this your first venture, or you had previous startups, previous companies before?
I've had startups for longer than you've been alive.
And what have you learned throughout this journey of startups?
That all entrepreneurs are crazy, but it's something that you can't avoid.
That's true. And what kind of advice would you give to new generations of entrepreneurs?
Well, we have a whole program here. I mean, I think you need to surround yourself with other talented people.
That's true.
You have to be in a community that supports innovation. Our education incubator in particular is going to be really exciting because Chicago has the largest charter school system, the largest Catholic school system, the 3rd largest CPS system. We have a mayor that gets it. So if you wanted to come to a city or a place like 1871 where entrepreneurs were going to be focusing on innovation and education, you couldn't go to a better place than here.
This is what it's special about Chicago then.
Well, what's really special about Chicago is unlike the West Coast or the East Coast, where there might be one or two industries, we have 10 or 11 different industries. They're all healthy. So healthcare, finance, transportation, education, 3 or 4 different kinds of digital manufacturing. So what's nice in an economy like that is that the biggest thing a startup needs after cash is basically customers. And so Chicago is a place where you can find a lot of pilot opportunities, a lot of experience. We have a tremendous concentration of advertising agencies here, including some of the biggest ones in the world. So all of these are opportunities for people that are creating new solutions, and especially people who are focusing in on disruptive innovation.
That's good.
The biggest challenges that we heard, because we interviewed about a dozen entrepreneurs, is the lack of capital. How do you, as CEO of 1871, plan to bring in more capital to the Chicagoland area? I mean, you've got a great foundation now, so what's the attractor?
So actually, capital is not an issue these days. Everybody has capital. Businesses are competing for talent. They're competing for customers. And ultimately, when they build their business, they're competing for attention. There's so much money sloshing around right now that it's really not an issue. If you have a decent idea and a decent team, we're just starting 2 or 3 more funds right here in 1871. So it's not a gating factor.
So you're like starting funds here to invest in Chicago companies?
Well, they'll invest in good opportunities. I wish they would only invest in companies that were actually living within 1871. I don't think that's the case, but Chicago Ventures, Math, which is a new one that's just raising $20 or $30 million. So there are going to be 3 or 4 new sources of capital, but capital is an issue that might have been the case 5 years ago. Now we have substantial successful entrepreneurs. We had $1 billion worth of exits just last year, multi situations in the $800 to $1 billion acquisitions. We have now Lenovo upstairs with Motorola. So I think the biggest issue is that there's a lot of ideas that are not really novel, that are not really businesses. But if you have a good idea and you have a good team, all the rest of the things are increasingly starting to fall in place.
Talking about talent, do you think how hard or easy it is to attract talent to Chicago?
Well, we have a tremendous number of universities. We haven't done a great job, and they're all here. I mean, we have right in 1871, Northwestern and University of Chicago, University of Illinois, IIT. DeVry has a presence here. So the trick is, do they need to go to the West Coast or the East Coast in order to build their businesses? What I would say is, in a couple of areas that might still be the case. You might want to go to Boston if you were building a healthcare business. There's a very substantial concentration around Route 9 in Boston. But we're going to open what we're calling Matter here, which is all about health IT. And so I think within a year or two, when you have Baxter and Abbott and all of the major medical organizations and pharma companies and hospitals and medical schools here, that this will become a hub for innovation in medicine as well.
Good predictions for Chicago then.
Sure, we're very encouraged about what's going on. As I say, the mayor gets it. This summer we'll be having, not this summer, but in October, a conference to bring venture capital groups from all over the country here. So I think that in terms of the middle of the country, where there are tremendous numbers of opportunities, that Chicago is really going to be the hub for a whole new sort of set of movements around innovation and entrepreneurship.
Great. I believe that, 1871 will probably be hosting this event, like a
some of the VC conference will be here for sure. And we'll also be hosting a big conference next year for one of the big technology companies. So almost everything that goes on that has to do with technology, happens here.
Happens around 1871.
Right.
Yes, entrepreneurs are very happy and pleased to be here.
They seem to be.
Community.
Yeah, they seem to be excited about being here.
Yes, they say it's the office hours especially.
Yeah.
It's what they like the most.
Well, so last year I think we had about 4,500 hours of one-on-one mentoring. I think we had about 400 events. and about 250 workshops, including everybody from Sheryl Sandberg, from Facebook, to all these different, kinds of people, Steve Case, Mark Cuban. So to have a chance, for a young entrepreneur to spend some time listening to Mark Cuban is a pretty special thing. So,
Indeed, it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so
Good.
much for your time.
Good. Happy to be here. Nice to see you.